Next up, we have the in the middle section. Gods who kind of have enough good and bad associated with them that I can't really put them in the yes, they would be amazing to just have with you as a friend, partner, so on and so forth. Or no, they would be the worst type of god or goddess to have with you for that kind of thing. So first up, we have Sol/Agni. Agni is a bit of a messenger. Fire is used to send messages between or things between humans and the gods, so he seems like he'd be relatively busy a lot of the time, which is a bit of a downside. Also, Sol is supposed to hold the sun across the sky a lot, so she seems like she'd be fairly busy as well. But aside from that, the main big reasons why they're both also here is the fact that being deities of fire, and this applies more to Sol than it does to Agni, but being deities of fire, there's a good chance that one of them may horribly burn you. And none of them are healers, so yeah, that would suck for you. Especially if you tried to, you know, get with them and yeah. So, aside from that though, fire is pretty useful for a lot of things. You could use them to cook your meals for you. If it's dark, you could use one of them as a torch. Also, Sol seems like she has a pretty bubbly and just generally pleasant, nice personality, so there's that. And Agni seems like a chill guy, so there you go, they don't seem like awful people is my point, so there's that. So yeah, next up is one god who I debated with for quite a bit, and that's Mercury. He seems like he'd have the voice that would get so tiresome after a while, but at the same time, I've never gotten tired of his voice, so I don't know. He also seems like he would enjoy a good prank, even though it is not. I mean, Hermes was considered to be a trickster god in Greek mythology, and Mercury isn't exactly Hermes, but they're so similar, so there's possibility, you know? And aside from those few downsides, there's plenty of good things to have Mercury as your friend. First and foremost, you get instant delivery on anything you would need. Need to run to the shop or something? Mercury. Need to order something offline? Well, just ask for some sort of self-pickup service and you can have it in seconds. He could save plenty of people in a similar fashion to how the Flash is a superhero. Mercury could easily save a bunch of people around the world from different things like burning buildings, falling from tall buildings, drowning maybe? Perhaps, like if people are fishing on a boat, one of them's about to fall in, perhaps Mercury could dash over there in time to save them from falling into the water, because I have no idea how good of a swimmer Mercury is, but I'm sure he can run across water just like the Flash, right? So there's that. And next up we have the second best troll in the entirety of Smite, and that's Ratatoska. Ratatoska loves to cause trouble. He's like that person that you always knew in school who kind of would always make an argument or any sort of conflict 10 times worse, but as a cute little furry squirrel that you can never stay mad at for too long. And plus, he's a cute little furry squirrel. In fact, I really don't know why I didn't put him in the other section, not the worst section, the other section of gods that just pretty much next to no flaws to having. I mean, really, the only reason I put him here was for the possibility that he might, you know, ruin your own relationships through his stirring, because he loves stirring, but, you know, it would probably be fun whilst it lasted. Probably. He seems like he has a lot of fun. And also, if he would allow it, he seems like he'd make a pretty cool pet. So, there's that. And who wouldn't want to know a talking squirrel? Like, come on. Next up, we have Raven. Raven's got a lot of talent. He can sprout many heads from his shoulders, many arms from his shoulders, so he's pretty handy. Like, if you go shopping and you need to carry a bunch of bags, he's got you covered. He was also a scholar of sorts, a military genius, and very good at combat in and of himself. So if you ever get into a fight, Raven's got you covered. Okay, I know the gods of war that I didn't include from the last video would probably be very, very good at fighting, and that's one of the prime reasons why they would be so useful. But Raven's here because he probably wouldn't kill anyone, whereas they have a pretty good chance of losing it and killing everyone after they kill, like, one person in a fight, so, you know. Especially Callie. If you need help revising for something, or you're finding something pretty difficult to understand, I'm sure Raven could help you out with that. And the only real problem, the reason why he's in the middle, is because Raven loves power. A lot. He cut off 9 or 10 of his heads just so he could gain a bunch of, like an ability or powers from Shiva. Shiva is one of the most powerful deities in Hinduism. He became a demon king of Lanka, which actually prospered quite well under his reign, but he was very persistent, and who knows what could happen in today's world with Ravan as the president, for example, or in any seat of power imaginable. Now, funnily enough, Hades is here. He determines where all the poor souls go when they die, and perhaps has the ability to allow you to return to the world of the living. See, there was this king who had a chance to have a bit of a second life for a limited time because he wasn't buried properly, but Hades allowed him to come back to life to right some wrongs, have a bit of an extra life. He was supposed to come back to the underworld, he didn't, so when it was his second time to die, Hades punished him in the worst way possible. But you see what I'm getting at? Hades is fairly reasonable and nice guy to know. He's not that bad, really, compared to Poseidon and even Zeus. Yeah, Hades really isn't that bad. Plus, he seems like he's happier than Thanatos, which is a plus, so there's that. Okay, the Morrigan. Well, the downside, we'll get into the Morrigan, is that if you stand in her way, deny her of anything, or just genuinely upset her, as Cuchulainn found out, she will find horrible ways to get back at you. I mean, she made Cuchulainn eat a dog, which he vowed never to eat another dog again. So she disrespected Cuchulainn in that way. After eating this dog, Cuchulainn lost strength in 2 of his limbs, which later caused his death. But aside from that, she can turn into literally anyone, which, before you say it, I know, there are tons of different gods who can shapeshift. But specifically in Smite, she's given that specific ability, so for now, I'm just gonna pretend that she's like the best at it, or it's kind of her thing. Just give her this thing. And since you can shapeshift into pretty much anyone, which would be so useful if you don't feel like coming into work one day, or you want an extra break, you don't feel like coming into school, for whatever reason, well, instead of losing a day's pay, she can cover for you. There's so many useful things you could do with being able to transform into anyone in the world. You could learn the secret formula to Coca-Cola, or a bunch of other hidden recipes just by having someone else's face. You could pretend to be Donald Trump for the day and, okay, maybe not you, but she could pretend to be Donald Trump for the day. And, I don't know, have fun with a bunch of countries. Okay, that probably doesn't sound like the most appealing thing in the world, but you get the point. There's a lot of possibilities with taking someone's face. Also, she can turn into a crow. That's pretty cool, right? So, next up we have Amaterasu / Khepri. And I suppose to a degree Apollo's sort of in the same category, but not really. Amaterasu and Khepri purely because they just seem like happy, positive people to be around. Like, that's always nice. It's always nice to be around positive people. And also, they can make the sun come out at any time of their choosing. Apollo does kind of end up having to be in a bit of the same boat as Sol, where she's a bit busy. And so is Khepri. Khepri also pulls the sun across the sky as well. So those two might be a bit busy, not the best people to have as friends, but if you end up dying, Khepri can revive you, right? So there's a plus for Khepri. And you're probably wondering what Amaterasu's downside is. Well, when Susanoo decided to wrong her a bit, she decided to camp out in a cave for a bit and denied all sunlight access to the world until she came out. Crops couldn't be grown properly, which probably meant people starved for a bit. Trees probably weren't happy about this arrangement, and genuinely, the earth was a dark and gloomy place. So, offending Amaterasu is probably something you want to avoid. And well, to be fair, anyone could be really offended by someone burning their crops and farmlands, a bunch of their stuff. So next up we have Bastet. If you're a cat person, woo, she's here. I'm not much of a cat person, so there's that. She spent quite a lot of time keeping beasts at bay, so she could be busy doing that quite a lot of the time, but assuming that she's not, she seems like a fairly okay person to hang out with, so there's that. But of course, I'm not the best fan of cats, and she might have a lot of cats roaming around, so, I'm wondering why I didn't put her in the worst section now. But oh well. She's here, and I'm not changing it. Next up is Artio. If you like bears, she's for you. If you don't like bears, and you're not a fan of fruit, she's not for you. So, she's in the middle. Next up, we have Vamana. He's here because he doesn't like baby jokes. And how could you not make a baby joke? Look at him. Okay, he got a remodel and update, but look at him. So, forget the update. There's no way you're not making a baby joke. But aside from that, he's one of the best gods for travel in the entirety of Smite, because in his lore, he grew to a massive size, and with one step, he covered the entire Earth. So he could easily transport you from anywhere you want to go into the world. So let's say, like me, you're in the UK, and you want to go to China, well, you could be there in less than a minute. Thanks to Vamana Airlines. That's like the best thing ever. So, yeah, Vamana in the middle. Arachne. She's good at weaving things, which is a pretty useful talent. You can make clothes from weaving, and among other things. 3 clothes. Clothes are expensive. But she'd most likely attract spiders, and of course she's a giant spider. So if you don't like spiders, you got a bit of that arachnophobia, then yeah. Not a good chunk of people don't like spiders, so I decided to just put her in the middle. Me personally, I don't like looking at spiders, so she's in the middle. Next up is Saket. To be honest, the only bad thing I could really consider about Saket is that she might accidentally poison you. Aside from that, I don't really see anything bad about Saket. She seemed like just a nice person to be around. Perhaps a bit crazy, but in a good way. So, Saket's fine in my book. And we have Camazotz. Camazotz, again, like Saket, might be a bit crazy. Or a lot crazy in Camazotz's case. Also, the type of bat that he is famous for sucking blood. So, he may leech a bit of your blood. His species of bat, or, the species of bat that he's, linked to, associated with, is famous for being able to leech the blood of an animal without that animal feeling any pain because of special properties of the bat's saliva. So, at least you wouldn't be in pain whilst he steals from your lifeblood. But Camazotz is a giant bat that can fly, so he could take you to different countries provided you're not too heavy. Then again, he's a god, so I'm assuming weight wouldn't be a massive factor. Next up, we have Kazembo. First and foremost, great voice pack. Amazing voice pack. He has a cucumber-rich diet, which would, if you're worried about eating healthily, well, there you go. He's eating cucumber, you're eating cucumber, everyone wins. Downsides to Kazembo is that he's very, very attached to water, and he's very comfortable in water. So, probably not the most practical thing in the world. Also, the Kappa, as I've mentioned a few times now, are famous for eating people as well as extracting mythical essences through the holes that everyone has on their bottom sides. So, yeah, if that might keep you up at night, probably not the best person to have. Then again, I don't know why Kazembo isn't on the worst. I mean, his voice pack's great, but the whole extraction thing isn't exactly fun, so. Next up we have Athena, and I know some of you are going to disagree. Athena seems like an awful, awful person to chill with. First and foremost, she seems like she'd be super strict, like really strict and just somewhat awkward to be around. She's the goddess of wisdom. Wisdom's pretty damn valuable. And also, she is the favorite child of Zeus, and Zeus is considered to be one of the most, if not the most powerful deities in existence, so there's that. Could be quite useful to getting good with Zeus, through Athena. So for those reasons, she's in the middle. But, again, she takes things really personally, and her punishments suck. Just ask Arachne or Medusa. AMC's on this in the middle list as well. I don't like bees, but honey is okay, so he gets a pass. Gabrakan, I just like playing Gabrakan, that's why he's here. I know he's not a fan of humans, and would probably... Okay, I made a boo-boo. Gabrakan should be in the worst tier. He doesn't like humans. He'd probably... Well, he wouldn't mind if he could. I don't think he'd actively kill humans, but he'd probably go around smashing skyscrapers, because if you've watched his lore video, he usually spends most of his time picking up mountains and chucking them around. So, you'd have a bunch of falling skyscrapers falling on your heads, which isn't the most fun thing to think about in the world. Next up is Chiron. Thank you for making it this far, guys. Sorry, but I have to cut this up into 2 parts. My time's getting strangled more and more by the days, so yeah. If you did enjoy this though, go ahead and leave a like, because that will help me out quite a bit. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If this gets a lot of likes, I'll speed up the production of part 2 and have that out for you a lot sooner than I otherwise would. Until the next video, have a very, very, very good day. I've been Prime, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.